And my wife's like, no, you can't come out of that. So Thunder has been my theme song for the last few days. So get your seats, and thank you very much for giving me that great introduction. Thank you, Angel. Thank you so much. What about these two guys that are put on this conference? Give them a hand. I was in West Palm Beach, Florida yesterday. It's beautiful, warm, right? I came to Denver, but this is nice, right? How many of you have ever had a good coach at some point in your life? I want you to look around the room. How many of you have ever had a bad coach at some point in your life? How many of you have never had a coach at some point in your life? Okay, just a few people. So my name is Coach Micheal Burt. I believe everybody needs a good coach in their life. And I believe a good coach can change your life. See, I grew up in a real small town in Tennessee. I was raised by a single mother who had me when she was 16 years old. My mom and my dad got married for 1 year and they quickly divorced. Okay, I grew up most of my early childhood without my dad involved in my life. He's not a bad guy. I don't have a bad relationship with him. But he never came to a baseball game. He never hugged me. He never told me he loved me. So I grew up with this tough single mother who embedded and conditioned in me certain things. We don't whine. We don't complain. We don't make excuses. We dress up, we show up, we grow up, and we deliver. So let's give a hand to all the moms in the room. If you're a mom in the room, give a hand. Because that ain't an easy task. And my wife is at home with our 3 kids, and she said, I looked at your schedule today, and I'm one mad wife. That's what she told me. Because I'm gone almost the whole month of September. But my mom used to take me down to a local baseball field where I would stay for hours and hours and hours. And one woman down there was a Little League baseball coach named Mickey Vincent. And Mickey Vincent, it was odd because she was a female coach in Little League baseball. And she was a tomboy. You ever heard of a tomboy, right? And Mickey cared for me, and she fed me. And I would literally go down there as early as 4, 5, and 6 years old, and I would stay down there until 10 o'clock at night while my mom was working 2 and 3 jobs to make sure we had everything that we wanted. So I was raised on a baseball field. I was raised in a gymnasium. How many of you grew up in a gym, or on a baseball field, or in a football field? And it was those coaches. Go back to that time in your life when you had a great coach that really pushed you to do things you didn't want to do, that had conversations with you that you did not want to have, that helped you become something you did not think you could become. See, so at 6 years old, Mickey Vincent pulls me aside, and she's like, kid, when you grow up, you're going to be a great coach. Now, how many of you got to where you are today because somebody, somewhere, chose to see the good in you when it was easy to see the bad? And they looked at you, and they affirmed and validated the worth and potential. How many of you are leading other people right now? Raise your hand if you're leading other people. Okay? What's the 4 most powerful things you can say to another person? I believe in you. I see something in you. Okay, I just got a text from Ed Milet just a minute ago because I was watching a video earlier today, and I met Ed Milet when I was speaking at 10X, and I was watching a video of him earlier today, and I just sent him a message that said, man, thank you, I owe you. Thank you, I owe you. Go back to the people who've helped you, and he texted me back and said, man, thank you, I owe you. So my point is, when you are leading other people, leadership could be defined as affirming and validating the worth and potential in another person in so clear a way they begin to see it in their own self. They begin to see something in their own selves. And I'll come back to that later. But Mickey Vincent affirmed and validated that worth and potential in me. And potential is this idea. It's an idea of kinetic energy that's stored until activated. It's an idea of embryonic growth that will be better today than we were yesterday. We'll be better tomorrow than we are today. But that potential must be activated. See, I was talking to a guy today here in Denver who owns an engineer firm, and he's looking at me being his coach or me coaching one of the guys on his team, and I said, man, you keep telling me this guy needs to get better. Who's coaching this guy to get better? He's not magically going to get better, right? And he said, make a case for why he needs a coach. Every major performer in the world has a coach. Trained people always outperform untrained people. Coach people always outperform uncoached people. Would you agree? We're in Denver, Colorado. We're seeing what one coach can come in to Colorado Buffaloes with Deion Sanders. We're seeing how fast one guy can come in and instill confidence in a program and win. Right? Confidence is the memory of success. It is an internal knowing that you can create or manifest what you see in your mind. So Mom was conditioning me that we dress up, we show up, we grow up, and we deliver. And Mom was actually conditioning me to have a very high prey drive, what we're going to talk about today, which is your instinct to pursue. Pursue your dreams, pursue your goals, pursue your future, pursue a deal. Pursue an opportunity. Pursue a bigger future. Okay? So I grew up on that baseball field and actually started coaching basketball when I was 15 years old. I was a little point guard. You guys figured that part out, right? I wasn't a post player, but I was tough and I was scrappy and I was always coaching the other kids and directing the kids. And at 15 years old, I started coaching junior pro basketball. And I wore a suit to coach junior pro basketball, and people laughed at me, and they made fun of me. And I actually got ejected from a junior pro basketball game because I was so passionate, and I didn't know how to control that passion. So I yelled and screamed, and I don't think I cussed, but I was all over the place. And so I knew at 15 years old that God put me on this earth to coach people. I knew this was going to be my calling. Is there a difference between an occupation and a vocation? An occupation is that which occupies your time, in which you receive a paycheck for. Vocation comes from the Latin term voice or calling in life. See, at 15 years old, when I started coaching those kids, I'm like, man, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay? I pumped gas for a living. I was a terrible gas pumper because my mom never taught me anything about cars. So somebody pulled up and said, will you check the oil? I checked the transmission fluid. I got fired from that job. Then I thought I'd work at a bank because I could get dressed up in a suit. I thought people that worked at a bank actually made money, but they don't. Y'all know that part, right? People who own the bank makes the money, not the people who are working at the bank. So I thought if I could just get around money, I'd make some money. And so I got fired from that job because I wasn't any good. What I really was supposed to be doing was coaching. And I started to see as a kid that everybody needed a coach in their life. So 15 years old, I'm coaching, and I'm working on my very first job. And we're going to talk a lot about sales today. How many of you would like to increase the sales of your company? Raise your hand. All of us. What is the daily number that you would like to hit every day? See, I take a big number, and I back that big number down to a quarterly number. Then I back it down to a monthly number. Then I back it down to a weekly number. Then I back it down to a daily number. I have a daily target that I'm trying to hit in sales every day. Because I believe, as my bracelet says, we go to bed tired and we wake up hungry. It all goes to zero at midnight. So when I wake up every day, I start at zero because it all went to zero at midnight last night. This is what I tell my brain. So I'm coaching that team at 18 years old. I get my first coaching job. And I'm 18 and I graduate from college. And I said, I want this coaching job. This is my first pursuit. And I start pursuing this elementary coaching job, right? And I'm only 18 years old, going to college, and I show up every day for 14 straight days to get this job because I read a sales stat, and the sales stat said that it takes 7 to 15 touches 80% of the time to convert a prospect to a client. Now, how many of you think that's true in this industry? Okay, so I'm a statistics dude. I'm a coach. I play the numbers. And the numbers tell me that many times, from the time you present an idea to a person, it could take 7 to 15 touches to convert them from somebody who is interested in doing something to somebody who is actually doing something. So I read this stat. I don't even know where I read it. And every morning, the principal would come in at 7 a.m. in the morning, and I was sitting there waiting on him. He'd come in at 7 a.m. I'd get there at 6. He'd come in and said, who are you? I said, sir, I'm your new head boys basketball coach, reporting for duty. And I'm 18 years old. He's like, kid, come on, kid. He's like, you're a kid, for God's sakes. I can't hire you for this job. And he gave me objection. Now, what does the word objection mean? You're going to find out that I really dissect what words mean. The word objection means opposition of thought. I have a thought, and you have an opposing thought. Who typically wins when two people have opposing thoughts? The person who has the most what? That's right. Let's use another word, conviction. Let's use another word, confidence. Confidence is the memory of what? Success. Anytime you're depressed, and I went through 6 months of depression when I was 25 years old, clinically depressed. Depression is living in the past. I got up every day and lived in the past of something that happened to me. So when people get depressed, it's because you're reliving something that happened in the past. Insecure people are reliving something that happened in the past. Confident people remember success. Any day I'm having a bad day, see, the reason I wear my championship rings is because it reminds me of putting in a decade to build a national powerhouse, and I remind myself that I know how to win. See, last week I was with mortgage originators, and I said, how many of you know how to win? And they raised their hand, and I said, is that what you remember, or do you remember failure? See, they're all down right now because the rates are high. They can't sell a mortgage, and they've forgotten that they know how to win. This reminds me that I know how to win, even on bad days, even when I get told no. So remember this: depression, living in the past. Insecurity, remembering what? Failure. Confidence, memory of what? Success. Internal knowing I can create or manifest what I see in my mind, in my imagination. So I got objection. So then I came back the next day. How many of you reward effort? How many of you actually reward effort? I do. I reward effort. So I got up the next day for 14 straight days. Principal would come in. I'd say, good morning. What are you doing here? I'm reporting for duty. I want to be your head boys basketball coach. And finally, after 14 days, he's like, look, kid, you got the job. Then he says this: primarily because nobody else has applied for this job. So I get the job. I'm 18 years old. I coach the team. I build my own office. And we won a state championship in my very first year, 31-5. And the principal came to me at the end of the year. He said, man, you did such a great job coaching. We think we would like to pay you. And I'm like, this is good, man. Come on. Like, what am I going to get paid? And he said $199.50 for the year. See, I didn't want the money, though. What did I want? The experience. See, this book I'm going to talk about today is my 17th book. It took me 17 books to figure out how to write a Wall Street Journal bestseller. And I just kept writing them. But the most important thing I did is I hired a coach who launched Ed Milet's book. And I called Milet and I said, who launched your book? Because you did a great job releasing the book. And he said, Rory Vaden. And I called Rory Vaden and I said, how much to spend time with you? And they said, $18,000 for 3 hours or $35,000 for a day. And I said, go ahead and book it. Because if I knew how to do it, I'd have already done it. Yes or no? So I spent 3 hours with the dude. He gives me 5 strategies. I sell 10,000 units of the book. I make it a Wall Street Journal bestseller. Then my agent comes back to me and says, I can get you a $250,000 advance on your next book because you hit 10,000 units on this book. So the $18,000 really helps me get what? $250,000 on the next one. Is that a good investment? Yes or no? Yes. Next time you're thinking about making an investment in yourself and investing in coaching, I want you to think like that. I spent the 18 to learn a skill. The skill helped me go accomplish something. Because I accomplished something, I now can make more money. Okay? That's how you need to think about investing in yourself. So 18 years old, I'm coaching the team, and I'm really starting to become fascinated with something. And this ties into our message today on Pray Drive. I am fascinated by taking people who have talent and potential and getting more out of them. I become fascinated with what I call inner engineering people. Building competitive intelligence in people. How many of you have employees right now that you know have another gear, but it frustrates you because you cannot get that gear out of them? Raise your hand, please. Okay. See, this was me. I love taking people and I go, man, this dude's got some knowledge, some skill, some desire, and some confidence. Those are 4 parts of his nature, by the way. Body, mind, heart, and spirit. And I'm going to take this person and develop this raw material, and I'm going to turn him into a little stone cold killing machine. You with me? So around this time, I start studying under a guy named Dr. Stephen Covey. Anybody read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Okay. First things first, principle-centered leadership. And I began studying under Covey. And Covey taught me that people were made up of 4 parts. A body that's physical, that represents skill. A mind that's mental, that represents knowledge. A heart that's emotional, that represents passion, pray drive, effort. And a spirit that's spiritual, that represents confidence, faith in something, belief. And I started going, okay, I'm going to teach every player those 7 habits. Okay, so 19 years old, I'm winning games. I get a phone call. It's the head coach at the 2nd largest high school in Tennessee. I'm still in college. He said, I've heard about you. When anybody says that, I've heard about you, that we call that in the business world what? A referral. And a referral is when great people tell other great people how great you were. See, when I go do a speaking engagement, typically each speaking engagement produces 6 more speaking engagements for me every time I speak. Okay? Or somebody wants me to coach their people, or somebody wants to sign up for one of my programs. Dan's in my highest level programs. Dan Schindler here out of Texas. He's got an office at my Greatness Factory in Nashville. So when I go speak, it typically produces 6 more engagements or 6 more opportunities. Because if you're good and you really move the needle, shouldn't more people want to work with you? Okay, so I'm coaching and I'm winning, and I get a phone call and he said, I've heard about you. Heard you're this young little whippersnapper that can flat out coach. I'd like you to come be one of my assistant coaches. And I asked what any 19-year-old would ask, which is what? He said, sir, I only got one question, but it is a very important question. Thank you for this opportunity, but I'm just wondering exactly how much are you going to pay me to come down and coach? After all, I'm already making $199.50. And you may not be able to afford me. And he laughed, and I laughed, and he said, kid, we're going to pay you $2,000. And I'm like, $2,000? Man, I will be there tonight. Now, here's a business question. How many of you have 10 times your income since you started this business? I bet more people have done it than you think. Did I just 10 times my income in that situation? I went from 200 to 2,000. And I did it in 2 years. So now I'm making $2,000. Now I'm going to college. Now I'm at the second largest high school in Tennessee, and I'm only 19 years old. And I'm learning, and I'm studying, and I'm engineering these kids, and we go 17 and 0 with my freshmen. And I'm sitting there and I'm learning, and I'm really learning how I can do this. So at 22 years old, my boss retires, and he said, I'm not retiring because he's 52 unless this little dude replaces me as the head coach. And I get this big coaching job at 22 years old. Look at the head of hair that I had. This is what happens when you coach girls for 10 years. And God has blessed me with 2 girls now. I have an 11-year-old and a 1-year-old daughter. And having a 1-year-old at 47 is a lot of fun, folks. Keeps me young. So this is when I took over this job. And you should have seen the articles that were written about me. He's too young. He's in over his head. He'll never make it. Why did they hire this kid that's 22 years old? These are things that people said about me when I got this job because it was a really big job. If the football coach retired, would they hire a kid 22 years old? And I started talking about building something special. How many of you see your cleaning company as a place to manufacture greatness in people? How many of you people come to you and they have some knowledge and some skills and some desire and some confidence, and you actually help them manufacture their greatness? See, I started calling my program the Greatness Factory. And moms and dads would bring their kids to me and they say, my daughter has a lot of, what? Because I'm coaching girls now. See, I've flipped from boys to girls. Why not flip? Because the girls listen better than the boys did. Girls would try to do what I'd tell them to do. You know what I'm saying? No hard feelings to the boys, but we can be stubborn. And so a mom and dad would bring their kid to me, and they would say, my kid's 14 years old. She's been playing since she was 3 or 4, and she has a lot of talent, potential, skills. What else? Attitude, drama, issues. And I would say thank you for bringing your daughter to the Greatness Factory, because we are going to manufacture her greatness. And when I am done with your daughter, she will be so confident she'll be able to run for president of the United States when I'm done with her. That's how confident your daughter will be when I'm done with her. I'd say, but since I've got you here, I've got to ask you a very serious question. You're telling me your daughter's got a lot of potential. What is potential? Anybody ever think about this? Potential is an idea of kinetic energy that is stored until what? Activated. Released, activated. That potential has to be activated. Okay? It has to be initiated. It is an idea of embryonic growth that I'll be better today than I was yesterday. I'll be better tomorrow than I was today. I will never stop getting better. See, we're going to get into why do people become complacent? When I wrote this book, I asked big questions. Why do good people do lazy things? Why do they become complacent? Why don't everybody have a standard of excellence? Why do some people go for a period of time at the top and then they lose all of that prey drive? So I would say, you're telling me your daughter has potential. Yes, sir. And I'd say I got a tough question, but I got to ask it. Is your daughter watching you reach your potential? And they go, woo. I didn't know you were going to be coaching me. See, my 11-year-old daughter walked me out to the car one day and she said, Daddy, I want you to go pro today because the amateurs ain't never going to make it. Isn't that good? See, we were playing tennis in Florida once, me and my daughter. We have a house down in the Panhandle of Florida. And we went and played tennis with my daughter. She's about 8 years old. And she was hitting it over there, and she started crying and had a breakdown. Daddy, I can't do it. Let's just quit. I said, time out. Come here. Sit down. She sat down. I said, in this house, we do not use those words. We can't do it. You can say, Daddy, I'm trying. You can say, Daddy, I'm getting better. You could say, Daddy, I'm working on it. But I don't ever want to hear you say that you can't do something again. Do you understand me? What am I instilling in her? Identity. See, my mother instilled identity in me. My confidence is not predicated by what other people think about me. See, my social media, I've been in front of, 6 to 13 million people in the last 30 days. The comments on there about me, I don't even read them. Because I don't want to read them. Because they'll be positive and they'll be negative. And what if my confidence was predicated by what somebody watched a 1-minute video about me on social media? Yes or no? They don't like my hair. They don't like, once your wife should divorce you. Like they don't like my kids. Like what people say about other people in today's world. I don't even read it because my confidence is not predicated by what they think about me. Everybody see that? My confidence is predicated by what I think about me. Did I show up? Did I grow up? And did I deliver? Did I over-deliver? Did I reach my potential? Did I move toward what I said I was going to do? Right? Like that's confidence. So my daughter goes back out there and she hits a bad shot. And I look at her and I'm waiting on her to say, I can't do it. She goes, Daddy, I'm trying. Daddy, I'm getting better. Daddy, I'm working on it. I'm like, that's my girl. One coaching session, one time out for 30 seconds. How many of you need to do that with some of your employees? We don't whine, we don't complain, and we don't make excuses. We show up, we grow up, and we deliver. Right? So we go home that night after playing tennis, and my daughter, right in the living room in front of the whole family, says, Dad, I would like for you to do a cartwheel. I said, Daddy's 46 years old. Like I can't do a cartwheel. My daughter was 8 or 9 years old at the time. She looked at me and she said, come here. Sit down. She said, you could say I'm trying. You could say I'm getting better. But in our house, we never use these words, Daddy. Isn't that good? She's 8 or 9 years old. So I'm coaching these kids, and here's what the percentages start to tell me. Okay, here's what the percentages start to tell me. The percentages start to tell me these key things, which are if we stop the other team 21 times in a game, in 7 stops of 3 consecutive stops, we win almost 90% of the time. If we have less than 14 turnovers, if we give up less than 7 second shots. Now, when I started playing these percentages, and when I got into the business world and started coaching business people, I'm like, what are the percentages? If I talk to 35 to 45 people a day, if I have a sales number I'm trying to drive, if I get better at my closing ratios, if I engage with my current clients to get referrals, if I follow up 7 to 15 touches, are the percentages the same for your business just like it was for me when I was coaching basketball? Yes or no? Money follows energy. Money follows movement. Money follows circulation. Money never follows stagnation. It never follows sitting. It never follows waiting. Money follows movement. You're in a business that everybody needs for the most part. It's a whole lot easier to sell what you're selling than what I'm selling. I'm selling a future. I'm selling an intangible. You're selling a service that everybody's got to have. So when you think about it, this is a pure game of probability, and this is what I learned to play. So I started going, okay, how do we play offense? How many of y'all have ever heard defense wins championships? Okay, yeah. Let me ask you a question. What if you can't score any points? Does it win championships if you can't score? So I started going, hey, if we score about 80 or 90 a night, we'll make up for a lot of mistakes we make. And I started saying, hey, let's get the ball to the midline in less than 2.3 seconds. Because now we're on offense. So I started teaching my players when they score how to take it out of the net, how to pivot, how to pitch ahead to the point guard who was running at the perfect angle. We taught them the exact angle to run, how to pivot, catch, boom. And I was coming at you as hard as I could, as fast as I could, as much as I could. And guess what that did to my competition? Over a period of time, it's like, oh, that dude is wearing us out. And they would play with us for a little while. But then in the second half, here's what they would do. I would teach my girls, when they put their hands on their knees, it's over. So about third quarter, free throw, here's what they'd do. My girls, remember, 14 years old, 15 years old, 16, they look at me and say, it's over. It's over. See what I was building, but imagine this. I want to ask you a hard question here. Are you playing offense in your business? How many touches do your people have today? How hard do you follow up on a lead? How much do you attack revenue? Do you engage with people after you've sold them for the referrals? How much money are you leaving on the table by playing defense versus offense? How many of you agree with this? All of us could get better at these basic principles of business. Because when I started coaching businesses at 31 years old, I would ask simple questions. How do you get customers? You know what that's like? Boy, that's a good question. How do we get customers? How many strategies do you have to get customers? They'd say, well, I think we get referrals and we do a little marketing and we do this. And I'm saying, okay, are they working? What is your number one strategy? What is your number two? What's your number three? And what if that's not working? What if I told you the night I won that first championship, what if I told you that what I did worked 37 times, but it did not work that night? See, I started coaching business people, and they would do the same things for years. And I'd be like, it ain't working. See, in sports, we try something, and if it don't work, what do? How fast do we change it? In seconds. We tracked every play. We tracked everything we did. It's like, is that working? No, it's not working. Throw it out. So, in this particular game, what I was doing wasn't working. And I changed it at halftime, and I did something. I remember telling my players in the locker room, we're going to do something we haven't done all year. And I want you to give it a try. Be open. And we went out and changed strategies. And because of that, we won our 38th game, which made us 38-3. Now, along the way, I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm getting better, and I'm starting to write all these books because everybody wanted to know how I was winning all these games. I said, man, I ain't got time to explain it. So I'm just going to start writing books about it. I'm a high school basketball coach. I'm making $50,000 a year. I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm building stone cold killers. I started getting all these phone calls from business people. And guess what they said? We got a lot of good people, and they got a lot of what? Yeah, or issues. Can't get them to prospect. Can't keep them motivated. And they started saying, will you come over and motivate our people? And I go, man, I ain't got time to do this. I'm winning basketball games. Just read my books. And I started going over and speaking, and they started paying me more in an hour than I made in a month. And a woman came to me and said, I'll pay you $150,000 right now to be my company's coach. And I had won a championship, and I said, where do I sign the contract? Because, see, I was a level 10 person stuck in a level 4 vehicle. How many of you feel like you're level 10 people, but you're playing at a level 4 level in comparison to what you're capable of? You're talented, and you got a big engine, but you're not playing at the level you could be playing at. You're what I call highly talented, yet undercapitalized. See, I had a big engine, and I wanted to go real fast, and I couldn't earn any more income where I was at. And they said, we want to keep you, but we can't pay you any more money. So they actually let me drive the driver's ed car home as a courtesy car. My principal called me the office one day. He said, hey, he said, we can't give you any more money. He said, but I'm going to give you a courtesy car to drive home. I said, okay, sounds great. He said, at the end of the day, the driver's ed teacher will bring it over to your office, and you take it home. And it had a brake in the passenger side. So people would get in my car, and they'd be like, what's up with this? And I'd be like, man, it's just how they make these Bonnevils, man. Don't even worry about it. So 31 years old, I retired from this, and I started speaking and coaching. And ultimately, what that led me to do when I started speaking and coaching is build relationships with some of the best people in the world. And that's how I end up on stage speaking at 10X. And that one stage changed my life. We signed up more customers in 1 hour than I had ever signed up in my whole career. We couldn't even handle all the people we signed up that day. Okay? This was back when I was just getting on Instagram and getting going. And my buddy said, check your direct messages. I bet you have some messages. I said, what? Like, where do you check direct messages? He got my phone and showed me. I had 500 direct messages. Can I do business with you? Will you be my coach? How do I sign up? What do we do? I didn't even know really what I was doing. And we still made $250,000 in the first hour. And $1 million over the next year or more. And I didn't even know what I was doing other than just coaching. Does everybody see that? Now, along the way, here's what I started to figure out. 41 years old. I kept asking this question. What could I be the leading expert in the world at? If I ask you to differentiate yourself today from all the other people who are out there, why should I choose you over everybody else that does what you do? See, this is the question I started asking. 41 years old. I'm 10 years into the business. We're doing well. And I'm sitting in a workshop on a Saturday in Tennessee with my wife with a former Vietnam veteran who was in the War Dog Division of the Vietnam War. And he talked about waking up in the middle of the jungle every single day and going ahead of the infantry with a dog. And the dog's job was to sniff out bombs, booby traps, ambushes. Any day you think it's tough doing what you do for a living, I want you to imagine waking up in the middle of a jungle with nobody but you and that animal, hoping that you don't step on a bomb that day. Hoping you don't walk into an ambush that day. Relying on that dog. And he kept talking about the dog having a prey drive. Preydrive. And I didn't know what he was talking about. So I'm sitting here listening. I'm like, what is he talking about? I'm asking my wife, do you know what he's talking about, prey drive? She said, no. And I did what anybody would do who doesn't know. What'd I do? I Googled it. And this changed my life. What it taught me was that a prey drive is an animal's ability to stalk, capture, and kill prey. That is prey drive in an animal. It is the animal's ability to see something and pursue it. And I had a big revelation. And the revelation I had was that humans have a prey drive. But it's not their ability to stalk, capture, and kill something, but it is their ability to see something with their eyes or in the mind, in the imagination, and to have the persistence and the intensity to pursue it. See, about 6 months ago, I spoke to 200 blind business owners. And I gave a talk on prey drive, and when I was finished, they stood in line, and they said this to me, I cannot see it with my eyes, but I can see it in my mind. And you activated my prey drive. So what I did is I took this concept and I trademarked it, prey drive in humans. And I said, I'm going to be the leading authority in the world at activating this drive. Because how many of you have ever said, I wish my employees had some more drive? I wish my son had some more drive. I love this one. Wives come to me and say, can you activate the prey drive in my husband? Because he's got so much potential. And I'm like, of course I can. Because here's the deal. And if you knew my wife, I actually activated the prey drive in my wife. You see, my wife was not my wife. She came to one of my workshops. Her company paid $50 for her to come to one of my workshops. She was selling cell phones for Verizon. And her manager told her she had some. Go see this coach. He'll help you with your potential because you're one of our best salespeople. She sat in the back row. She took notes like crazy. She had never read a self-help book. She had never been to a self-help seminar. She had never had a coach in her life. And when she was finished, taking notes, reading the book, she walked right up to me after the workshop. She's like, can I meet with you? I need to meet with you right now. And she was really pretty. So I said, yes, I am 100% available. Step right over here, please. Here's what she says. I think I have some potential. I think I should be doing something bigger. But I don't know what I should be doing, and I've never had a coach. Can you help me? I said, I've got 4 questions for you. What do you love doing? What do you love doing? She said, I love hospitality. I love taking care of people. I said, what are you really good at doing? See, the first question was a passion question. What do you love doing more than anything? She did, boom, just like that. I said, number 2, what are you really good at doing? She said, I'm great. I can cook without recipes. I'm really good. My grandmother can cook without recipes. I said, that's a talent. That's a talent. That's a skill. Number 3, who would pay you the most money to take care of them with hospitality? She said, I don't know. I don't know how to turn this into a business. Question number 4, what are you supposed to be doing? That's your conscience. Some people believe God's voice to his children. What are you supposed to be doing? She said, I think I'm supposed to be doing something in hospitality. I said, help me understand why you're selling cell phones at Verizon. She went back and quit that job at Verizon. I'm sure her manager's glad he paid for her to come to that workshop. And now my wife handles all the hospitality at our boot camps and retreats. When we buy real estate, we have about $25 million worth of real estate. She goes in and designs that real estate. And she could see it in her eyes. And in the morning, she gets up before the kids get up. And she's got her iPad, and she's sitting there looking at Pinterest. And she's playing around with business design and hospitality. And when we do a retreat, she'll think about it for months. What we're going to serve, how we're going to serve it, how we're going to help. Right? That's her passion. We're using her talent in the business to generate income. My talents and her talents together. She even wrote a book called Living with a Monster, which is how you live with a driven person. And we do couples retreats. We sell those couples retreats out. We go to Florida and we spend 3 days with couples because it ain't easy being married to a driven person. Would you agree? It ain't easy being married to a person that's driven and ambitious and pushing and has big goals and big dreams. That is the problem that retreat solves for people. So I activated her pray drive. Does everybody see that? Now we're trying to activate the pray drive in our kids and in our family and in other people. So for you, look at the second definition. I'm going to give you a chance to participate right here. Pray drive in you is your instinct to pursue. What are we pursuing again? Dreams, possibility. What about deals? What about follow-up? What about new customers? What about new opportunity? What about new markets? There are 3 phases to this drive. Number 1, it must be activated every day. That's why I wear the bracelet that says, we go to bed tired, and we wake up what? Hungry. It all goes to 0 at midnight. There comes a time when winter asks what you did all spring and summer. It's going to be a fight, but we're going to find a way to win. See, I have trained my brain to know no matter how much money I have, no matter how much I've accumulated in my life, no matter what we have, as I'm broke every single morning when I wake up. Everybody with me? I prospect every day, 35 to 45 touches, and I own the company. Today I'm out walking around. When I go to a city like this, first thing I do when I get to the city is put some shorts on, put a shirt on. I just start walking around. And I start calling people and texting people and following up with people and videoing people and texting people. Like I practice exactly what I preach to my people. Everybody see that? Because if I do it, they can see me doing it. Like this dude wakes up and does exactly what he tells people to do. And I'm working deals. And I'm touching... And I'm following up with key influencers. And I'm staying right there with them, man. Because objects at rest stay at rest unless acted on by an outside force. That's Newton's law. That's physics. Objects in motion stay in motion unless acted on by an outside force. Yes? So many people sit and they wait. I hope the business grows. I hope the marketing works. I hope the leads. No. We create. We create. So there's 3 phases. Number 1, it must be activated every day. I want you to think about where you struggle. Number 2, there must be a persistence to this drive. What is persistence? What if I told you one definition of passion? One definition of passion is to suffer. Are you willing to suffer? See, it took me 10 years, 80-hour work weeks to win this championship ring. I wouldn't trade one night for being the best. Everybody see that? The school went on to win 7 of the next 9 state championships. 10 years, total sacrifice, suffered through it to be the best. Wouldn't trade it for anything. What if I told you I don't like prospecting any more than you do? What if I told you I don't like following up 7 to 15 touches any more than you do? But I'm willing to suck the sour to get to the sweet. You know what I like more than anything? Hitting that number every day. How many of you get joy by hitting that number every day? How many of you get joy by setting a target and achieving a target? See, to me, the pray drive is the pursuit of the target. So I tell everybody in my company, my love language is revenue. If we're going to work this hard, we might as well make some money doing it. So we pursue a target every day. That is persistence. So what if I told you amateurs listen to their feelings? Professionals do not listen to their feelings. If you think after 31 years of coaching people, I feel like being positive every day, you've lost your mind. I feel the same way you do. I didn't get in until midnight last night from West Palm Beach. I coached for 6 straight hours yesterday to an insurance company. I coached for 6 straight hours the day before that with the owner of that company. If you think I wake up every day smiling, going, all right, let's go. I wake up just like you do, tired, frustrated, irritated. I'm a high D on a disc profile, so I'm angry at somebody. Right? Because I'm trying to get somewhere. I'm frustrated because I can't get somewhere fast enough. So I wake up just like you do, but then I flip the switch, which is the title of the book. Then it's like, it's game time, baby. Let me turn it on. Let's go do this. Do you think the football player feels like getting hit that hard on Sunday? But they're making millions of dollars to catch the football. You think Journey feels like singing Don't Stop Believing? But they sing it, don't they? Because that's what they're making millions of dollars to do. You have got to go, I don't feel like it, I don't feel like it. But amateurs listen to their feelings. And professionals don't listen to their feelings. The pro dresses up, shows up, grows up, and delivers. I don't feel like being positive every day, but I do it. I do videos almost every morning. I send a message to my customers every morning at 7:30. I don't always feel like doing the videos, and I sure don't feel like sending the message. But when I tell other people to do it, guess what it does to me? It validates it in me. You need to be doing this, coach. What I'm telling you to do, I'm really telling myself to do. So the third phase of Pray Drive is intensity. And intensity is the pursuit of something. Now, I'm going to take you to a place right here. I had a board in my office at one time, and I drew up on the board 18,000, the number 18,000. And I brought my team together, and I said, what's this number mean? And they said, is it a number of customers? Is it a revenue number? I said, the average lifespan of a female today is 82 years old. The average lifespan of males is 78 years old. I said, if I live to be 78 years old, this is how many days I got left on planet Earth. And that don't seem like a lot. When you start putting it into days, see, you think, oh, yeah, I'm 50, I got 25 good years. You put it into number of days you got. You know what you got then? Intensity. I ain't got time to mess around. I ain't got time for drama. I ain't got time to talk about other people. I ain't got time to listen to your excuses. I ain't got time for all that stuff. And guess what? When I'm with Ed Milet, he ain't got time for it. And when I'm with Cardone, he ain't got time for it. And when I'm with Tim Grover, he ain't got time for it. It's so interesting when I'm hanging around these other big-time people. They never whine, they never complain, and they never make excuses. Isn't that interesting? You would feel silly even taking it to them. Like you would feel even bad even taking it to them. Like, I had a rough day today. I didn't feel like prospecting. These are dudes worth $400 or $500 million or more, and they're stone-cold killers, man. See, I'm nice. I'm friendly. I'm from the South. I'm Bible Belt. I go to a Baptist church. But inside of me is a stone-cold killer. You understand what I'm saying? And that killer is necessary to go out and get it every day. Because I'm competing versus the best people in the world, just like you are. So out of these 3 phases, I want you to tell the people at your table, where do you struggle? Is it activation of that drive? Maybe at one time in your life, the pray drive was activated, and you lost it. Is it persistence of that drive? Or is it intensity of that drive? Okay? And I'm going to tell you how to solve all 3 of these problems. Okay? So take a second right now and tell the people beside you where you struggle the most. Activation, persistence, intensity. Which one?
You had to ask your future wife that 5th question. What are you doing for dinner tonight?
That's right. I wasn't that savvy in those days. How you doing, brother? All right, let's see what we got. Now, let me tell you what a good coach really does. Okay? Let me tell you what a good coach really does. And I would ask Dan this question, because Dan's had a lot of coaches in his life. And I've been Dan's coach now for what, year and a half? 2 years. Would you tell them what my role is really in your life of helping you get to your next level? Yeah.
I would say just keep pushing my prey drive.
Yep. Now, can a successful person lose their prey drive? Yes or no? Yes. Now listen to what I'm about to tell you. Why do we lose our prey drive? Because I've lost it. Some of the most successful people I've ever coached. I actually was with a billionaire last week, and he lost it. And some of his team members told me, he's lost it, man. I've spoken at events where people walk up to me and say, man, I'm making $300,000 a month, and I lost every bit of my prey drive. So the question becomes, why do we lose it? Listen to this one statement I'm about to tell you. Satisfied needs never motivate, only unsatisfied needs. The reason we become complacent is because we set a target and we achieve a target. This is why you don't see people win back-to-back championships. Somebody else is hungrier. We expend a lot of energy to get to the top, and it's like, oh, I'm tired. I've already done it. You know, I'm seeing all of these things come out. Is Saban going to retire after this year? You know, Saban's one championship away from winning more than Bear Bryant. 7. All he's got to get is one more to be the all-time best, right? I can't imagine that he would go, I'm out after losing a game or two. See, to me, these top people are reactivated. Sometimes the embarrassment of losing actually reactivates that drive so much. Because when I was a coach, I hated losing more than I liked winning. So for a guy like Dan and his lovely wife that come to our house in Florida, you know, he's got to consistently set new targets. As he achieves one goal, it'd be very easy for him to go, hey, man, I'm there. I'm good. As soon as I become good. Now, my mother worked in nursing homes her whole life. My mom was a nurse. She went on to be an emergency room nurse. She went on to work. She worked at Vanderbilt University. And my mom ended her career by working in nursing homes, which means she worked with people at the end of their lives. And one day, out of the blue, I called her and I said, Mom, why do people pass away at the end of their lives outside of just natural causes? She said 3 reasons. And it didn't take her a second to answer this question. She said, number 1, they run out of money. And when they run out of money, they run out of good care. She said there is 1 nurse for every 23 residents in a nursing home. So they don't get the care they need because they don't get enough attention. It's very expensive to have 24-hour care at the end of your life. You could burn through hundreds of thousands of dollars to have private care. Okay? So she said that's number 1. She said number 2, they run out of love. Nobody comes to see them. The only people who love them are the other residents and the nurses. She said, but you want to know the real reason they pass away, son? She said they run out of purpose. They don't have something to get up and to pursue. Right? They've given up on their dreams. There's nothing for them to go do. So the reason we become complacent is because we set a target and we achieved it. So listen to this. I got a good life. I make good money. I live in a good house. I got a good wife. I got good kids. That thought of just being good actually suppresses the prey drive. When you think you're there, you become complacent. And James, complacent is a gradual settling to a place of mediocrity. Does that sound sexy to anybody? Anybody send their kids off to school and say, hey, I want you to go gradually settle to a place of mediocrity today? Here's the deal. But do we do it as adults, yes or no? Okay, we become complacent because our needs are met. So what I do and what I have found these other people do, because I'm closest with Tim Grover. Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's coach. He wrote Relentless. He wrote Winning. So we talk about every week via text or calls, and we just have philosophical talks. And because I'm fascinated, because he was with Jordan for 13 years every day, and I'm like, hey man, tell me, how does he reactivate his freaking prey drive? He said he would find anything he could. And sometimes he made things up. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, well, he's walking off the floor one night, and the guy looks at him and says, good game. He said, it infuriated him. He's like, good game? That's what you said to me? Tomorrow night, I will show you. And he scores 63 points the next night. And he walked over to that dude and he said, "What'd you think about that game?" Was that a good game? So I was joking with Grover one day, and I saw he gave a talk somewhere, and I texted him a message and said, "I bet you did a good job." He's like, "I didn't do a good job. I did a great job." See, these are super competitive people who are relentless. So number one, the prey drive must be activated every day. How many of you struggle with that? Raise your hand if that's your struggle. Yeah. See, I just can't turn it on every day. I'm up one day, I'm down one day. Here's the word you may use, I'm inconsistent. I'm just inconsistent in my prey drive. We go to bed tired, we wake up hungry. How many of you believe what takes years to build up could take seconds to tear down? See, one of my greatest activators of my prey drive. See, March of 2020, I was losing $250,000 a month in March of 2020. And that hurt my feelings. Now, let me tell you why. I speak for a living. This is how I get in front of people. This is my number one way for signing up people into my coaching programs. Number one way we drive leads. Number one way. And every event I had was canceled. As a matter of fact, most of the people had already paid me the money and wanted the money back. We're talking thousands of dollars of refunds. We're talking, and I'm sitting there like, what are we going to do? I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to sell everything. And what it really did was reactivate my prey drive. Fear became my primary activator of prey drive. And I said, I ain't losing everything. I remember go home and telling my wife, we've come too far. We've worked too much to go down like this. I ain't going out like this. And I began to push and find ways to win. And we went from losing $250,000 to doing $1.7 million about 6 months later. Because I just found another gear, man. And guess what? I had lost a little bit of my drive until that happened. It reactivated something inside of me that I had not seen since I was a championship coach. I'm talking about the competitor in me. So one, the prey drive must be activated every day. Number two, how many of you struggle with persistence of prey drive? Okay, and the persistence is, I got to do something I don't want to do every day. I got to suck the sour to get to the sweet. For most people, that's prospecting every day, that's follow-up every day, that's engagement every day. It's got to become a way of life, and in sports, we call it muscle memory. And muscle memory, as we do it so many times, it's natural. It's like I don't even think about it. I prospect every day. I call new money every day. I follow up 7 to 15 touches every day. I engage with customers every single day. I build relationships with people every single day. I learn to do things I don't want to do because amateurs listen to their feelings. Number three, how many of you struggle with the intensity? How many of you have a daily target that you're trying to hit in your company? How many of you think you need a daily target? See, you got to sell your people on the money follows the energy. We need 35 to 45 touches a day or more because that's where the money is. And the reason I like daily numbers, see, some people say, well, I got a quarterly number. I think the quarterly number sets me up to be complacent. It's like, man, I had a bad day. I'll pick up tomorrow. Well, the bad day turns into a bad week, turns into a bad month. The next thing you know, you had 3 bad months. Then you say, well, I'll get it next quarter. Or the economy's bad. Or, see, now we're placing our destiny in somebody else's hands. So the saying I want you to use is, we go to bed tired, we wake up hungry. It all goes to zero at midnight. There comes a time when winter asks what you did all spring and summer. And winter is always coming. Everybody see that? Don't you think the best people in the world win in any economy? So I want to finish today with something I don't talk about a lot, which are the habits of the top 1% of performers. When I wrote this book, I was doing work with Kevin Elko. Kevin Elko is Nick Saban's psychologist at the University of Alabama. He's probably been real busy the last week or so with it. And Elko is a psychologist. He's a great psychologist. He has 33 national championship rings of teams he has worked with. And when he goes to speak, he carries them in a box. He'll say, now, which one do you want me to wear today, Coach? You want me to wear the one I want here? You want me to wear the Alabama? You want to wear this one? And we'd be driving down the road and going to eat, and the phone would ring. And he'd say, I got to get this call. Nick's calling. And it was Saban. And he put it on speakerphone. And I would listen to this phone conversation between Saban and his coach. And he'd say, man, I just can't connect to this player. How are we going to come back and win? How are we going to win after this loss? What does my pregame need to be? Man, can you help me? You see what I'm saying? Like, he was going to him, And he would say, try this, try this, try this. Use this strategy. I thought it was fascinating to hear one of the greatest coaches in the world going back and forth. And he's just looking for what? Just that much. And he said to me, Forbes commissioned a study on the top 1% of performers in the world. And he said, I want to tell you what these 5 habits are. So I want you to think about yourself and your team, because can we acquire a habit? Yes or no? Yes. See, real self-development is I have an awareness, I gain an awareness of a habit that I have. There's actually a test that we're starting to use called the Habit Finder, and it measures your deepest habits of thought. And if you want to take that, just email Brittany at coachburt.com. BRITTNEY at coachburt.com. Now, this test shows you what your deepest habits of thought are. What if I told you every person in this room has destructive habits of thought that actually sabotages healthy habits of thought? Could be deep habits of obligation, resentment, unworthiness. I'm coaching a guy right now who made $4.9 million last year. His biggest problem is he feels unworthy. He went through a tough divorce. His wife beat him up hard emotionally. And when I had him take that test, it showed me he was off the chart with feelings of unworthiness. Everybody see that? He's got a big hole that he can't feel. Now, that causes him to have destructive habits of thought, which creates inconsistency in him. He's ready to tackle the world one day, and then he goes into a hole the next day. Because at his core, at his deepest core, he does not believe he's worthy of being great. Does everybody see that? And here's a dude who made $5 million last year. And that test showed me deep habits of destructive thought as it relates to his worthiness. Now, where does that come from? It's come from his past. It's come from his parents. So you have a habit. Until you have an awareness of that habit, you can't change that habit. Once you change the bad habit and develop a good habit, that actually changes the neural pathway in the brain. And it actually that is true self-development. It's true self-improvement. But I can't change a habit unless I have what? An awareness of the habit. See, that's what that test showed me. So when Elko said there's 5 habits of the top performers in the world, I thought, now that's interesting. I said, are you going to do anything with that? He said, no, going to use it. I said, I'll go make a couple million with that. He said, go do it, because I'm not going to do anything with it. Number 1, remarkable boldness. And that is not remarkable baldness, although it could work. Remarkable boldness. Think about somebody that you study right now that you really admire and respect. Are they not bold? Are they afraid of rejection? Do they think big? Do you know what remarkable boldness means? Striking fearlessness. See, I start with the success cycle versus the sewer cycle. I make up my mind. I have a positive thought. That positive thought creates a positive subconscious emotion. That positive subconscious emotion relaxes my body so I can have fun with you. See, the day before I came and spoke over here, I was like, man, these guys are going to love this little bald-headed dude. That loosens my body. Because you can't win when you're tight. See, a negative thought is, man, what if they don't like me? What if they reject me? What if they don't like my books? What if they don't want to hear me? What if they're tired because they've been there all day? That actually produces a negative subconscious emotion, which tightens the body, which produces low or negative performance. So big-time performers are loose. They're loose. They have fun. They're serious but lighthearted, but they're all remarkably bold. That means they're willing to place themselves in situations where they could fail. And they don't ever lose, they just learn. Number 1. Number 2, connection. They treat everybody like family. The family they like. Okay? So how many of you know a person, and I think about like the Milettes and all these people. When I went to Ed Mylett and I asked him to write the foreword for my book, he could have just said, no, I can't do it. He sent me back a 1.5-minute voice text that said, I would love to do it, but if I do it for you, I'm going to be doing it for everybody. I'd be happy to endorse the book. I want to be right at the top endorsement. But man, I'm proud of you, and I appreciate you, See, he didn't have to do that. He could have just said, no, I can't do it. I sent it to another well-known person that you would know. I won't mention his name. Here's what he said. I don't do book endorsements because it could become a liability to me. How do you think I felt about Milet versus him? See, you don't say it like that. See, people who understand connection go, man, I'm proud of you. Congratulations. I can't do this for you, but let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. See, connection is a habit of the top 1% of performers. They know how to connect to people. They know how to make people feel comfortable. They know how to take people to the deepest level. Number 3, the ability to lock in and see something through to its conclusion. When they set their mind to something, they lock in and they see it all the way through to its conclusion. If you start and don't finish, start and give up, start and stop, you do not have this habit. See, I knew I wasn't going to leave that high school until I won that championship. Because that's what I promised my boss I was going to do. Lock in and see it through. What if you could teach your salespeople how to lock in and see things through to their conclusion? You stay with this lead until they say, yes, I'm in, or they're out. That is this habit, ability to lock in and see it through. Habit number 4, grit and resilience. Grit and resilience. You see, Angela Duckworth wrote the book on grit because her father told her she would never be smart enough to do anything big in the world. She went to Stanford. And then she studied grit only to figure out that the smartest people in the world don't win. It's the toughest people in the world who win. Grit and resilience. So now we've got remarkable boldness. We've got connection. We've got ability to lock in. We've got grit and resilience. Now, if there was another habit you think the top 1% have, what do you think it would be? Connection, grit and resilience, ability to lock in, remarkable boldness. Anybody want to guess? Clarity of purpose. See, purpose, autonomy, mastery are drivers of motivation, right? Discipline, derivative of the word disciple. Let's call the 5th habit clarity over primary skill. They have a skill that solves a real problem in the world. It is a hard skill. How many of you have been taught to find your why? If you just find your why, it'll all work out. See, the book I have submitted right now for my next book is called Screw Your Why. And I didn't say screw your wife. You could do that too. And you know why I'm writing that book? Could I know my purpose and still not have my prey drive activated? Could I know my purpose and still not want to go into battle today? Could I know my purpose and still not know how to make any money? See, I think finding your why, instead of finding your why, you should find your because goal. You do this because of this. So the subtitle is going to be find your skill, then find your problem, and watch your purpose find you. You don't find your purpose, it finds you when you are pursuing something. Now, out of those habits, as we wrap it up today, I want you to just take a quick step and tell the person beside you, out of those 5 habits, which one do you struggle with the most? Which habit do you struggle with the most of the 5 habits? How you doing, Bryce? Doing good. How you doing? Good? Thank you. Got a good attitude. All right. Okay, question. Angel, did you get the books? Did the books come in? So who gets the books?
Only the VIP tonight.
Okay.
They're going to be delivered at the dinner, sir.
Okay. So a little surprise tonight for the VIPs. You're going to get a copy of my new book, Flip the Switch. That's a Wall Street Journal bestseller. So if you got the VIP package, hey, that's what happens when you get the very important person package. But if you did or didn't, this code will take you to 6 hours of me breaking that book down. And I'm going to give that to you. If you go to this page, it's a landing page. Just put your name, email, phone number, and what it'll do, as soon as you register, it'll give you, boom. It'll give you me breaking the book down on video. Okay? And I like listening, I like reading, and I like studying something at a very deep level. It's very hard for me to unpack 31 years of doing this in 1 hour, especially a Pray Drive, which is such a big subject. And if you struggle with the QR code for some reason, just see Brittany. There's one other thing we're going to do. My coaching program that I run every year is called Monster Producer. I coach every single week in that program. I've not outsourced it to other people. You don't get somebody else different than me. I show up every week and I coach people. Okay? That program is typically $29.97, about $3,000 a year. We're going to do that for anybody in James and Angel's group at $9.99 for the year. Is that fair for y'all? So if you're thinking, hey, I want to get with Coach, I want to get a weekly coaching with Coach, where I break down 6 big principles of building a business, building, growing, and scaling a business, I send you a message every morning. And it's me. It ain't automated. It's me. Comes straight to your phone. You get my online academy, which has, I don't know how many programs in it, a lot. And you get me coaching you every single week in a private group where I'm breaking down the business. Be great for some of your employees. Be great for your salespeople. Okay? Now, some of you in the room go, hey, I want a bigger plan, like Dan, when I work with him and his team. Some of you may say, look, I want you to help me coach my team or coach my sales leaders or work with me personally. And we do all of those things. I'm a coach, man. If you took coaching away from me, I'd be miserable. I'd be miserable because coaching gives me purpose. So if you're thinking, man, I want to take it to this level and win championships, then when we're finished today, see Brittany on my team over here. She'll get you information. We'll do a strategy call. We'll listen for what you're trying to do, and we'll put you in a plan that is right for you, that is best for you and your team. If you want to put a bunch of people in there, we'll work with you on that. So see Brittany on any of those things. I'm going to close with this one thing. It's a tough story to tell, but it's important to this equation. Why should I be interested in my Pray Drive? Why should I be interested in my potential? I've had a privilege of speaking at 2 funerals where I did not know the person personally. And I got a phone call one day in my local city, and they said, will you come and give the eulogy for this person? They lived 84 years on planet Earth, and they don't have a pastor. They don't have somebody to give the eulogy. And we know you speak a lot, and I'm sure it'd be nice to their family if you do it. And I said, absolutely. Just give me some phone numbers. I need to talk to their family, a family member, a friend, a coworker. And they give me these numbers. I call the first person and said, tell me what they did, man. Tell me about their dreams. Person said they didn't have any dreams. Tell me about their hopes, goals. Did they do anything big I could talk about at the funeral? And I said, no. Did they help a lot of people? No, they really didn't help a lot of people, Coach. And I'm like, well, give me something that I could, eulogize this person properly. And they said, Coach, the only thing I can tell you is they were a pretty good person. And I go to do this funeral. There's less than 30 people who showed up for the funeral. And I sat there and had to give the eulogy. And do you know what it's like to give the eulogy at a funeral when you don't have anything to say? You lived 84 years, and the best I got is they were a good person. See, I left the funeral home that night, and I called my wife, who is my partner and everything. And I said, man, this left a big impression on me. I said, we cannot go out like this. I want to build greatness factories. Are you in for that? These are cool buildings. The first one's $7 million in Nashville. where people work, learn, grow, connect. Dan's company's going to be handling all the cleaning. I said I want to build schools, success schools for kids. I want to do couples retreats to keep couples together. And I said this is going to be incredibly inconvenient for us. Late nights, early mornings, me on the road. Sometimes you with the kids, sometimes you doing it, me with like it's going to be the hardest thing we've ever done. But at the end of our lives, I don't want 30 people to show up. I want thousands of people to show up. And I want them to say, man, because of that dude and his wife, we did this and we did this and we did this. And that gives me purpose. And I said, are you in for this? Because it ain't going to be easy. She said, I'm in if you're in. Ultimately, Maslow believed that only 1% of people ever self-actualize their potential. 1% ever got to that level. And I'm a believer that you don't get to that level until you activate that prey drive. Nothing happens until that prey drive is activated. Never forget that. My name's Coach Burt. I believe everybody needs a coach in life. I want to thank you for having me, James. Angel, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.